welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another First Division review show. 2 games on Friday, 2 games on Saturday. I'm smiling away here because let's get this one out of the way, Keith. Bray Wanderers 0, Treaty United 0. I think you said in the fan reaction, if anyone didn't hear them, pretty much. If anyone didn't hear the fan reaction, Keith said, I think he said no goals, no chances, shit game or something. I think that was pretty much it, was it?
Yeah, and I know you and Cian had a bit of a laugh about the Treaty game last season in Bray.
No, I don't think we had a laugh. I think we had a cry. But anyway, this
was just as bad. There was no chances. There was max 2 chances, but they came literally in the last few minutes. Absolutely diabolical. And if you're looking to get fans into the grounds to watch these games, Friday night is nothing to go on. There was nothing. There was no creativity. There was, as I said, there was no chances. Treaty were typical Treaty, and late on you could see Jack Brady was holding on to the ball and he was probably content with a draw. And that's the problem, I think, in this league. 5th place gets you a playoff spot, and teams are probably happy just to go away and get a little nil-all draw here and there, and they'll just fall over the line eventually in the playoffs.
No, you're right. I mean, from Bray's point of view, Keith, it's disappointing because they've only scored 1 goal. We were saying before we came on air this season at home. They have failed to register a win at home this season as well. And I think the last home game was actually 0-0 against Wexford as well. So they'll be disappointed with that. What do they have to do to score goals? What's the main issue, do you think, with Bray in that regard?
I can't put my finger on it because obviously Rob Manley, he has that experience in the First Division. It didn't help that we're without Conor Clifford, we're without Hugh Douglas. Curtis Bourne didn't play the other night. He's our top goal scorer this season. So Manley, it's like he's playing off the front. Yeah, he's leading the line, if you get me. He's trying to
do 2 jobs in one.
Yeah, he's trying to engage with the ball, but you need him up top, being at the head of the triangle almost. But I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. 0-0 draw against Wexford a couple of weeks ago. 1-1 against Athlone, their first point of the season, and then 0-0 against Treaty. Very disappointing.
Yeah, Gavin, I suppose from Treaty's point of view, to be fair, I mean, that's 7 points in the last 9 games, and they'll be the happier with the draw to Carlisle following that 4-0 defeat to Cork. They've really bounced back well with 7 points in 9 games, and the onus you feel is a little bit more in Bray, particularly when Treaty now are 2 points ahead of Bray with a game in hand here.
Yeah, especially I suppose the fact that Bray were home and Keith would have been expecting Bray to pick up all 3 points. But as you said there, if Rob Manley is trying to play in 2 positions at the same time, I suspect he's on about a 9 and a 10 or a 10 and 11 or whatever. But that's what I was saying about the last time when I was asking Keith about about their formation. If he's trying to do 2 jobs, then there's obviously something tactically wrong there. They obviously need to bring somebody in a sense, if he's trying to do 2 jobs, then what's the left or the right winger doing? What's their job then instead? If they're playing that kind of reminds me a bit like John Caulfield, where he used to play the 5 in midfield. And, when he was in charge of City, and, Gary Buckley was doing that job where he'd drop into the 5 and go up top to help out them when they're attacking. So, what, it kind of sounds like that. They're playing, it sounds like they're playing, obviously, I don't know, and Keith obviously knows 100% better than me, but it sounds like they're playing 5 in midfield at home, and sure, you have to go at teams when you're at home.
Is that the case, Keith, in a way?
In fairness, the other night, Marty started with Rob, and their connection they had with Cobh previous. They were clicking quite well, but Marty went off injured at half time, and Darrell Lynch then came on and played up top with Rob, and I expected this to work, but it didn't. It didn't really work. Kind of Darrell's a in behind player, he knocked the ball over the top and he chased it around, but you're hoping. Darrell Lynch has been out for last season, and he's only a young kid still, and he's only finding his feet this season as well. He's only had a couple of minutes, so hopefully, and I've said this weeks ago as well. Hopefully, but we're still where we were at a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely. We'll move on, Gavin, to Cobh, and we'll finish Cobh 0, Waterford FC 4. Forrest, Kavanagh right before half time, and Patterson back and forward with 2 goals. Massive win, Gavin. You were at this game, and a massive win for Waterford because with Cork not playing, they needed to try and take advantage, win that game in hand, and even at that, they're 5 points adrift. So it actually was a crucial 3 points, and they were obviously firing on all cylinders in this game.
Yeah, Keith, like down at the game, you know, I was talking to a couple of lads beforehand, Cobh fans that I would know myself outside, you know, from up in the city and stuff. And I said to him, like I said, if he can get the ball up to O'Brien Whitmarsh to his feet, and if he can get a couple of chances, you might get a result off him tonight, you know. And that didn't happen. Straight up about it, didn't happen. And to be fair to Waterford, like Cobh held on to the Cobh were in it for about 30 minutes. Then they conceded 2 sloppy goals before half time. And like after that, you know, without sounding harsh on Cobh, because obviously it's my first time seeing him this season other than the City game, but like Cobh got drastically worse. And I don't know if just Cobh got drastically worse and Waterford got really good at the same time. But it was a night and day game after that. Like Cobh, I was watching the game, and Cobh were doing the same thing all the time. When they were getting the ball, they were trying to play it out to Conor Drinan on the left all the time, and it wasn't working for them. But they kept doing it, and I was kind of saying to myself, you know, change it up a bit, you know, try something different. But they kept trying to do the same thing all the time, and I couldn't understand it. But I was saying there, what's the guy I was asking you there, the number 4 for Waterford? He plays kind of in front of the back 4. He's like Bolger with City. He's a small fella. What's his name?
Small fella. Keith, maybe. Yeah.
Niall
Keith. He's smallish anyway.
That's him, fella Keith. Yeah. He like if you ever wanted to look at a player, look at a player and look at how to play the game with a bit of composure when you need it. You know, he just oozed class when Waterford needed it in the game. You know. Like what if Cobh were looking back in an analysis, they'd look at him because when he got the ball, he never panicked, turned around, looked left and right, played a simple pass all the time, opened up the space for Waterford, and he created space because Cobh players were coming up to pick him up, and he was just taking his time on the ball, picking the right pass all the time. And then, like I suppose, as I said, because Cobh got worse, he just stood out a mile in the game. He was really like, I was really impressed with him. He you know, I was looking at him. So this fella's a baller, like he can play a ball. But like unfortunately for Cobh, Keith, you know, I think they're in a lot of trouble, unfortunately. And I hope I'm wrong because, you know, as much as they're still from Cork and whatever, but the gap was huge between the two teams as the game went on.
Gavin, did they look at they were going to create, or they were creating many chances because they have only scored 5 goals in 7 matches? So what's the issue there? Do you think it's chance creation more than anything else?
With Cobh, is it? Sorry.
Game, yeah, judging on this game, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was looking, like I was saying, that I said they got the ball out to Conor Drinan the first half, but it very much reminded me in a sense of when Cork City last year when they were poor, looking at them from a point of view that a lot of their decision making on the ball, you know, you're looking at a fella and you're saying, oh, he's going to play it into this fella, this is the easier pass. But instead he went, you know, inside or something. You're going, why did you go inside instead? But it was very similar to City last year when City were going through that bad run of form. It was just decision making on the ball. And I was saying to myself, like, you know, I was saying when you're doing things like this, you know, these are big chances at this level. And if you need to make the right move with the ball. And it wasn't happening for Cobh. They were trying different things. Like they were making things harder for themselves, I thought, in that first 30 minutes. And I think that was their reason with their decision making. Like O'Brien Whitmarsh is a fine player, and he didn't get enough service at all the other night. Like a lot of the ball, like I'd say, if you were doing a stat on it, Conor Drinan on the left probably had, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 times more touches than O'Brien Whitmarsh. And like that in itself is, you know, they should be nearly equal with each other from a point of view. Is that Drinan should have got the ball and put it into O'Brien Whitmarsh's feet and try and cause trouble. Yeah, it should try and cause trouble, but it just didn't happen for him. And like as I said, you could see it the other night. Then Waterford they took over the game, and it was comfortable for Waterford after that.
Yeah, Keith, as I said, a huge win for Waterford. But I tell you what was big for them as well. And I don't know, they obviously kept a clean sheet, but Killian Campbell was back in the side as well. A player that you know well as well. And look, he's a very good player. And we've talked about Waterford's errors and mistakes in the back line. And he's a type of player that might improve that going forward for them as well.
Yeah, Cantwell, you know, he's a solid defender. He came in as a substitute, did he? I think
he did actually, yeah, but good to see.
You're correct. It's crucial for him to be back, and Ian Morris will be absolutely delighted, you know, because he never lets you down. He's the type of player that will always give you 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. He was fantastic for Bray, and then he went to Athlone, and so disappointed when that happened, you know. Just a point as well, George Forrest scored the opener for Waterford, did he?
He did, yeah.
His dad's the owner, is he?
That's right, yeah.
Maybe he was in Ian's ear, like, oh, you have to play my son or whatever, but I think it paid off, didn't it? But we were discussing about Waterford and how they need to learn how to win games scrappy, but if they're scoring 3s and 4s, you know, they don't need to, you know. But I don't know what the pitch was like, Gavin, but it's always a tough place to go, you know.
Yeah, Keith, I'd say it looked like I was behind the dugouts and it looked really bobbly. Well, I suppose, look, we've had a spell of dry weather, so it kind of didn't really suit. It didn't suit what Cobh were trying to do on their home ground. It just didn't work for them. But it looked really hard and the ball looked really bobbly. And I suppose that didn't help either when you're trying to give a pass that you want to. It just wasn't happening from that point of view as well. So they went long with the ball instead, and that didn't work for them either on the night.
Yeah, we'll move on to finish. Galway United 1, Wexford FC 1. Aaron Dobbs with a goal in the first 20 minutes, and Stephen Walsh for his 4th goal of the season with a late equaliser for Galway. It's a funny one, this, actually. I'll start off with you, Keith, because Galway now are only 2 points behind Cork, but they would have seen this as an opportunity to go level. That said, they could have come away with no points.
Yeah, no, I actually texted you, didn't I? Late on in the game, Wexford were still 1 up. I was like, Jesus, what a result for Wexford. Look, John Caulfield would be absolutely fuming, you know. He would have sensed a victory here. Wexford, they've been hot and cold. It's hard to judge them this season, and judging on the highlights, they went up there and they put it up to Galway. I know the goal Galway conceded was soft, or Wexford, sorry, Galway conceded was soft. It was a bit of a mistake on the left-hand side, and Dobbs, what a finish from Dobbs, though. Fantastic finish. And you know, Stephen Walsh, you know, if he's scoring goals, you have to play him up front, don't you? I mean, what do you say, 4th goal of the season. So
yeah, I believe he played on the wing in this game, because I think young Murphy played left back as well.
Okay,
so
Max.
It seems when he's playing further forward that you know, he's creating chances and scoring goals, basically, because he's known as a left back in reality, as we know, basically.
Yeah, he's a big lad, and he'll cause problems to a lot of defenders. You know, he'll hold the ball up well, and people can play off him. And when you have Wawerio as well, and you know, if he can play off him, and if he can match up with him as well, just to get that bit of a click. Galway will only succeed this season, but you know, John Caulfield, as I said, he'd be so disappointed. A home game on a Saturday night, I think it was at 5 o'clock. You know, expecting a bigger crowd, so it didn't go his way, and you know, he would have been hoping that they could at least be level with Cork City going into the second series of games, but they're playing catch up, obviously. Yeah,
I mean, Gavin, from a Wexford point of view, they did perform quite well. I think we mentioned the week before against Cork, and we're a bit unlucky not to get a point. The question for me was, could they go to Galway and do something similar? And they kind of did. And even from a Galway point of view, with the late goal, it looked like, from the highlights anyway, that they were kind of panicking a little bit, like with their chances and snatching and things like that. And there was nothing great happening for them. But Wexford themselves would be highly disappointed to come away with a point, even though they probably take that before the start of the game.
Yeah, looking at the highlights there, Keith, I was looking at it there, and like by the looks of it, it looked like Wexford could have been 3 up before. You know, if they took their chances, they had the chances. And I see there, oh God, is it Jack Doherty is his name, the number 10 for him? He looked like he was already instrumental in a lot of the play during the game. He's a fine player. And I think they'll actually be very disappointed they didn't come away with the 3 points looking at the highlights. And without sounding condescending, I think that between the Galway game and the City game, Wexford will actually be quite disappointed that they didn't pick up more out of the two games, because they played very well. Looking at the highlights, and those chances, they were quite clear-cut against Galway. So I think they'll be quite disappointed they didn't come with the 3 points up there. And I mean, John Caulfield especially, he's probably looking at it saying, right, we'll get back at City for the second series of games. I'd say I wouldn't like to have been in that dressing room after that game.
No, absolutely not. We'll move on to the El Clasico, as they call it, the Midlands Derby, and finish Longford 10-2, Athlone Town 0. Craven and Barker with the goals of 48-54 minutes. 2 early second half goals from defenders. The first one was kind of like a typical goal that Athlone have kind of given away the season's bubbling about a bit, and you're not reacting, and obviously Craven finishes us off. But from a Longford point of view, that's 6 games. They're just in behind Cork, Galway, Waterford. They're on 11 points with 2 games in hand. So if they can pick up even 3 or 4 points from those 2 games in hand, they're right back in it. And they're not conceding goals. We talked about it before. They've conceded 4 goals this season. And Keith knows the manager, obviously Cronin from his time at Bray, and that's typical him. But it's given them a very good foundation, Keith, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic win, and they probably could have been a couple of goals up at half time. They were dominating the game. Athlone had a few chances early on, but I watched this game in its entirety, and I didn't see any other winner but Longford. Although the chances that they were trying to create didn't come off. Just going into the second half, you just felt at one stage Longford were going to take the lead, and they did. Craven put the ball in the net, and then second goal came a couple of minutes later from corner. Free header, absolutely free header. And we said a couple of weeks ago that Athlone have struggled with set pieces and stuff like that. And for a centre half just to run across the box and head the ball into the net, 2-0, game over. And Gary Cronin would be absolutely delighted. As you say, they're 8 points behind Cork City now, 2 games in hand. So, and I think they're playing tomorrow night against Cobh as well. So if they can pick up a result there, they'd be well within touching distance of Cork City. And Longford might be the surprise team this season. Yeah,
I suppose, Gavin, from Atlone's point of view, I suppose we have to talk about the fact that Martin Russell has left the club. To me, it wasn't a surprise. I just felt like it might happen. Apparently, it was mutually agreed. What do you make of it? Like, Athlone are obviously bottom of the league with 1 point after 8 games. Obviously, last season they went through a couple of managers. Doolan after Carberry left the club.
Who'd they get the point off?
It was Bray Wanderers, Keith. I'm surprised you didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, Gavin, it's a strange time for Athlone. It's just hard from the outside looking in to see what direction they're looking to go in, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Martin Russell is a good manager, and like if you're coming in like that, you have to give the man time, especially only after the first series of games. There's a long way to go yet, and I think getting rid of a manager at this time, unless there's something going on behind the scenes, a man who's experienced in the league, and you're making a decision that early. Yeah. It's only the first series of games over. There's a long way to go yet, and like I say, I think some people who run these clubs, these League of Ireland clubs, they are. And I could be wrong, and I don't want to be wrong on anybody, but some people come into these clubs, I think, and they don't have a football brain behind them. They're just brought in as a kind of business or marketing type of person. They kind of look at it and go, okay, results aren't going away, get rid of the manager because he hasn't a clue, but they don't have a football brain in them. No, I could be completely wrong about the club,
Do you think as well that maybe Martin Russell wanted out of the club as well? That's another question. We don't really know that, of course, but do you think he might have wanted out too?
See, I suppose it depends on what is going on too behind the scenes, Keith. I mean, if he's not getting on with the people in the board, and it's not happening from, it could be a case of a bit of board and say, look, this just isn't for me, and it might have been a good fit for both. Yeah, absolutely.
Why Martin Russell took the job in the first place? I don't know what promises he. I don't know what he promised them. He's going to a club that. He only signed the players a couple of weeks before the season began. There was Macaulay, there was Derek Daly, and
a few unknowns.
Yeah,
and a few unknowns, quite a few unknowns.
Yeah, the unknowns, but again,
you're playing in the league, and Yeah, again, sorry, Keith, you're looking at it and you're saying, whose decision is that? Like, is that the manager's decision or is it the club's decision? And these are things we don't know, but obviously, Athlone, they are struggling. We know that. And they brought in a certain type of player, let's say last season, and that didn't work. And then two managers kind of left as such, and that didn't work. And it's just a case of, what do they need to do at Athlone? Do they need to kind of, what is the direction? I mean, someone from Athlone could tell me what the direction is, and I could go, okay, fair enough. But I don't see it from an outsider looking in, is the way I'd see it,
Yeah, and it'd be sad to lose Athlone, like, because if they're eventually going to get fed up, like their League of Ireland team, and they have massive history, the 18 lands of this world. So. Yeah. Like, when I was up there a few weeks ago, there wasn't much of a buzz around the ground, and there didn't seem to be, and even the game the other night against Longford, there didn't seem to be many away fans,
not many home either, I might say.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, they looked a disappointing crowd for a big game, and they build it up as they call it El Clasico, but the crowd wasn't great. But it'd be great to get some Athlone Town viewers, because at the moment they're going nowhere, and they have that kind of barrier that they can just get re-elected to the league. When the third division of this league eventually comes in, they'll be relegated, and will they just go into the abyss?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll tell you what, guys, we'll just finish up on Longford Town and Cobh, because they play each other tomorrow night, isn't it? Yeah, Tuesday night. And it's a great opportunity, Gavin, for Longford at home to Cobh to close the gap on Waterford, Galway and Cork. If they can win that game, they'll be on 14 points, level with Waterford with the game in hand.
Yeah, and as I said, as you said about Longford, they're just getting on with things. They're picking up the points every week, and there's nothing being said about them, because looking at the first area games, they're saying, it's going to be City, Waterford and Galway, but Longford are just creeping up silently behind. Nobody's saying nothing about them. And
we are.
If Longford are home, if Longford are home tomorrow night, like, I can't see nothing but a Longford win, because unfortunately and sadly enough, like, I can't see Cobh getting nothing out of it. I'd be very surprised if Cobh get anything out of this game tomorrow. I really will.
You just never know, Keith, would you? But it is difficult to see Cobh getting anything out of the game, is it? Famous last words.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, for sure, famous last words. Jesus, you've said it multiple times this season. No, I can't see, and then bang, they get a result.
Yeah,
but Longford, they're going well. They're scoring goals, probably not the amount of goals they want to, with the chances they're creating.
But they're not conceding, which kind of means they don't goals. Have to score many.
That's crucial. And Cobh on the road, maybe they're a tough side of Coleman's, but on the road, maybe they don't fancy it on a Tuesday night. A lot of their players are part-time. They're going up on a Tuesday night, having to go up early and stuff like that. So it's just the way the league has gone, and with postponements and stuff like that. Longford win, definitely.
Yeah, that is a fair point. Cobh, it's tougher to go up to Longford the Tuesday night, I think, as well. Absolutely. I'll go for Longford as well. We'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for coming on. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit your bell notification button so that you keep up to date with all the videos. And thanks again, boys.
Thanks, Keith.
Cheers.